3 years ago, Michael was in my class. What I remember most about him was his speech. It was nearly incomprehensible. Oh, you have to go to the bathroom. I quickly learned to grab onto the most communicative word in his often unintelligible messages. He spoke only to me and lived in a world disconnected from his peers. It seemed as if his experience of kindergarten was a solitary one. This prompted puzzled reactions from his classmates, who were used to interacting eagerly like a pack of playful puppies. From their viewpoint, their conversations with Michael were consistently rebuffed. Sometimes they'd look quizzically at him and turn away.
Michael!
More often, they'd repeat themselves progressively louder, finally yelling at him with frustrated impatience. Unresponsively, Michael would look at them, a calm expression on his face. It was difficult to watch. Michael's productivity in kindergarten was pretty much limited to 2 tasks. He'd methodically cut to ribbons whatever paper he was given, then run to the Play-Doh Center to poke holes repeatedly in the colored clay. He once briefly eyed the sand table, but then turned and ran back to the Play-Doh, where the other children crossly reprimanded him for not sharing. Michael seemed content with his cutting and poking, but the world of kindergarten is also filled with building, drawing, dressing up, role-playing, speaking with and listening to one's peers, and developing friendships that could last a lifetime. I knew my job was to draw Michael out of his isolated world, but I wasn't sure where to begin. At that time, the testing and labels that would give him access to special education were years.
Enter Gracie, who blew into town riding in her dad's muscle car when he got a job at a nearby refinery. Like many daughters, being raised by single fathers, she often wore mismatched clothes and had uncombed hair. Her footwear varied between holey sneakers and scuffed ballet slippers with shreds of glitter clinging to them. Next to her relatively well-dressed classmates, she cut quite a waif-like figure. Because Gracie had been abandoned by her mother, she had issues with female authority. She tested the limits constantly, just to make sure I cared enough to notice. When it was story time, she would wander away from the circle, looking back until I'd have to stop reading and coax her to return. When it was time to clean up, she would continue playing, and then complain her shoes were lost, so she could stay later than the other children. She was a real heel dragger, afraid to follow the crowd's direction for fear of disappearing from my attention. Direct requests for compliance were often met with what I called the trauma scuttle. She would run away, head down, then curl up hugging her knees. Sometimes she would cry for a while. Other times, when I could afford to give her special attention, I'd talk with her, hug her, reason things out. But with 29 other students in the room, such opportunities came too rarely to make a lasting difference. Each day that Gracie followed directions, the school principal rewarded her with a treat. It's an old strategy, but coupled with lots of hugs and congratulations. It works wonders for certain children. Gracie was one such child. Newly motivated, she proudly reminded me several times a day that she was doing what she was supposed to be doing. She would beam with self-approval as she walked with me to the office. It's amazing what stickers, hugs, and a little bit of attention from a woman can do for a motherless child.
While Gracie was becoming a model citizen, Michael was bearing the brunt of his classmates' misunderstandings. Time and again I heard students yelling at him, "Michael, get in line! Michael, move! Michael, give me the clay!" Michael continued to react without emotion. I had no way of knowing how his classmates' hostility was affecting him inside, but I knew it was driving me crazy. One day, in response to Michael's tuneless singing, one of the girls hit him. I knew it was time to have an important class discussion. In the company of another teacher, Michael made a special trip to the library while I tried my best to explain to his peers his still undiagnosed dilemma. I asked them to imagine how hard it would be if no one could understand what they were saying.
Okay, class. Now, I know you've all been a little frustrated with Michael, but I want to talk to you about that. Imagine if you went to a foreign country, you didn't speak the language that they spoke, and everyone there was mean to you, and they yelled at you. How would that make you feel?
Sad.
Exactly. Now imagine if you went to that same country and they were smiling and they were happy and they gave you hugs and they helped you. How would that make you feel?
Happy.
Exactly. That's what we need to do for Michael. Okay?
Gracie sat rapt through the whole discussion. When Michael returned to their room, she demonstrated that she had taken our words of caring to heart. Gracie went straight to Michael and began poking holes in the Play-Doh, echoing his solitary play. At first he hardly noticed her, but she kept talking to him, and pretty soon he was talking back. I have no idea what the conversation was, or if you could even call it one. I only know that Gracie was smiling, happy to be nurturing someone else whose needs seemed greater than her own at the moment. Their play persisted, and soon they were poking holes together in the same piece of clay. Michael held a frozen grin on his face, more expression than I'd ever seen from him. Gracie hugged him, grabbed his hand, and then a little miracle happened. She pulled him away from the clay. Swept up in the moment, he forgot to run back to it. Gracie poured out the blocks and began building, handing blocks to Michael, smiling and talking.
He cautiously added to her tower, and then I heard him laugh. It was a flat sound without abandon, but it was his first in-class moment of demonstrable glee. The tower grew. Other children joined in. Following Gracie's lead, they talked to Michael in voices soft with understanding. They finished that day, the first of many like it, in the animated piece of children playing without rancor. And in the lives of Michael and his classmates, I knew that with the help of little Gracie, I had made a difference.
See you later.
Okay. Bye. I love you guys.
I love you.